All right. All right. So we'll be recording for YouTube here. So chat, feel free to join in the conversation. But if you guys are watching over on the YouTube channel, I did release a video about the class skills coming up, and there was one particular skill that popped up. Basically, if you played base PS2, it's Switch Strike for Bouncer and for Braver. Essentially, what it does is it calculates what your stat is for your three different types of attacks: melee, tech, and range, and then it makes it so you scale off of the stronger stat between two stats. For Bouncer, it's between tech and range. I'm sorry, between tech and melee. So essentially, that means that you can now take jet boots and use them optimally with soaring blades, and not have to augment hybrid, which was just a net loss overall. So while I'm pretty sure the mindset behind this was to just allow players to play either weapon if they wanted to and not really take a hit on having to make multiple sets of gear or having to go hybrid and just be overall weaker, what's actually happened now for Bouncer, now this is before it's come out, right? We haven't had a chance to test it and see exactly how beneficial or how impactful it's going to be, but it's really kind of easy to see, right? Like, as a Soaring Blades player, we know where our faults are at, where certain weapons just do certain things better, right? But realistically, at least from the Soaring Blades perspective, jet boots are almost going to basically be mandatory now with Soaring Blades as a multi-weapon. If not, an offhand jet boot is basically going to be what you're going to want at all times. Between having a better PB, if you can actually land the full photon blast, you've got insane down damage that's now PP positive. You do have to deal with Jet Intensity's ridiculous damage floor situation, where I'm sure Nep has plenty to say about that, but you have to deal with the ridiculous situation that is Jet Intensity's Jet Intensity's floor. However, we're now PP positive for down damage, which is insane. And now continuous hitbox abilities, we're probably just going to spam Jet Boots weapon action, which means Jet Intensity and Jet Sweep Jolt are going to be fairly useful for us. Jet Sweep Jolt probably just to get a little bit of extra damage in at the very end of something, if not to attack into something, right? Since Jet Sweep Jolt is iframe, which is kind of crazy. However, I'm more interested, right, in Pinion Blade and whether or not, one, it's iframe, and two, if it if it either moves towards your target, or if the damage not only exists on the swing of your blades, like there's like a hitbox on the swing of the blades, but also like the beam that goes out afterwards. If that's one instance of damage, if it's two individual instances of damage. Because if it's two individual instances of damage and you don't move your target at all, that means you have to really make sure you're going to land it in all of it. It'll be cool to throw into like some AoE spots where you're cleaving through a bunch of enemies, assuming that it hits all the enemies going through. But man, if Pinion doesn't like, if there's a way to screw up Pinion basically outside of just it hitting the target, it's going to be irritating. And fingers crossed, it builds in more ways than just like PAs. If it builds off PAs, blocks, step counters, basically off of just playing Soaring Blades, I'll be happy. Like, it needs to build off of more than just PAs. Because if it builds off of just PAs, that puts a very, very, very high value on block, because you don't want to let a PA not finish out. This depends on how it builds off PAs, right? Like, does it build off of the PA as it's going through? Is it build off per PA? Is it depending on how much damage is dealt? We'll have to see how that works out, but I am fairly interested to see how Pinion Blade works out. But all of these thoughts come up for Bouncer. For Braver, it's just free real estate. For Braver now, I feel like Bowmains didn't really get that much. Like, they got an extra counter now with being able to throw Katana counter, but they have a pretty good counter system anyway, right? They can now just play Katana without feeling like they're throwing, right, with their builds. It's more like Katana just got a range option for Braver, so that's pretty crazy, and that's pretty cool. But it's funny thinking that from what Braver's got versus what Bouncer got, and Bouncer got well, now Soaring Blades needs jet boots. It's no longer just an option, it's now mandatory because of how useful it's going to be, man. But it'll be good. I think it's going to be overall beneficial for like 80% of the population playing this game. But those of us who like to optimize not only group play but solo play, it's going to be a massive headache. So, and like I said, it probably likely is just a situation where they wanted to make it easier for people to play both weapons, and that's realistically what it mostly does. But for the rest of us, man, it's gonna be interesting. Now, there is something that my good friend Nep brought up, and it'd be interesting to see is what happens if they stealth change a couple things, right? They have in the past stealth changed certain things when we got certain updates, right? So imagine, let's say Soaring Blade's weapon action isn't nerfed and it actually works on jet boots. Let's say all of a sudden, what's it called? Surging Impulse actually builds Elemental down while on Soaring Blades as a multi-weapon. Because realistically, as a Soaring Blade man, I'm gonna multi jet boots. Like that's just it. That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna be kicking whenever we get downs. That's how it's just silly not to at that point. Soaring Blades only is gonna be for like challenge runs essentially, because jet boots just cover so many issues that Soaring Blades has. It's insane. But that's kind of like a what if situation, right? What if that happens? I'm not 100% sure that will happen, but we'll have to see. And it also does bring up one other thing, right? All these hybrid augments are now only useful for people who want to have just one unit set up for every build they play. Because now bouncers, bravers, if they want to play hybrid, they don't need to use these hybrid augments. Outside of that, there's almost no reason for hybrid augments to exist. Just flat. Actually, the dual stat augments are completely pointless now. The triple stat augments are fine. Those have uses in that very niche setup. But the dual stat augments are virtually pointless. Now, there is a chance, because we've had this class pop up before in the past. In base PSO2, we had a class called Hero that used all three weapons that augmented for all three stats because it was useful for all of them, and their weapons augmented individual stats. In that situation, augmenting for everything makes sense, but the likelihood of us getting a class like that is slim to none. On top of that, it's going to be a situation where we still have to figure out where the dual augments fit in, which I feel like they don't fit in anywhere anymore. They're basically pointless. So we'll have to see. I guess realistically, it's only pointless, yeah, for Braver and Bouncer mains. But like, if you're not a Braver or Bouncer, like what other class is doing hybrid anything, right? Like what class realistically is doing hybrid that's not just doing a fun build? Like not like anything optimal, but just like for fun. I feel like no one. Braver and Bouncer are the only reasons to do to actually go for a hybrid build. Yeah, I agree. Having SI build elemental stacks, but keeping the damage penalty is probably best. It'd be kind of crazy if it didn't do that, and I really wouldn't want... I kind of wouldn't want that to happen because that'd be a pain in the ass to deal with. Let's see. I did pure melee with secondary tech. I mean, yeah, it's all good. We'll have to see how things shake up, but I mean, that's all that I wanted to talk about. I'll probably put this up on YouTube this evening, realistically. But yeah. Oh, I guess you could run Talus and still do damage. Yeah, see, I cared about that a lot more before they released the most recent event weapons, where I can essentially play I can play Bouncer Fighter and still have insane PP regen because of the most recent event weapons having Eradicator PP regen on it. So like it just was like it didn't matter. I could just AoE with those weapons and absolutely thrash everything. But with the most recent update we're getting soon, will we have another weapon like that? You can now do Jet Boot Fist and only use one stat. Wait. Oh wait, that could work, right? Because if you were to augment for melee as a Bouncer main and did Jet Boot Fist, you're... Wait, does that... Wait, that works, wouldn't it? Oh shit, that works, doesn't it? You augment melee, you take the skill, you Bouncer main. Holy crap, that works. Oh my god, why? Why? Oh no, the memes are here. Let me go ahead and yeet Skulls because she's supposed to be doing something else. I'll see you in 10 minutes. But that actually works. Jet Boot Knuckles could actually work, dude. I don't know when you would use Jet Boot versus Knuckles. You would just do whatever you want at that point, right? But it's not like throwing. It works. You could legitimately just do that. That's actually insane. All right, let me end this video before it goes on too long, as it usually does over on YouTube. Chat, say goodbye to the YouTube frogs. YouTube frogs, say hello to Twitch chat in the comments. Let me know if you guys thought of anything else crazy that could actually be set up. I'm curious to see how things work out when we get the STIA update, which is 4 days from now. Yeah, 4 days from now. So this video will probably go up this evening. Maybe it'll go up tomorrow morning. I'm not 100% sure. It just depends on how tired I am after stream today. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Bye, my friends.